Hello, my name's Derek, Cosmos Studios. This is a quick peek into our initial campaign set called Operation Iron Crossing. It's a Border of RG mission, and essentially puts the players in a fictional area where Fort Quallet is, and there are three scenarios that are initially set with that. It's the Ambush at Dawn, Shepherd's Transit, and Caged Gambit. Each one of those elite to this advisor campaign. We've had a couple questions about how does Sandbox works, how does the campaign setting work, and so I just want to do a quick insight into that. Essentially, Operation Iron Crossing's going to put players into a 12-week deployment, if you will, to increase security in the region through a series of actions that they'll be able to take, and we'll go over that here in a minute. It starts off very quickly. The players land in a helo, and then by boat after they get briefed by their boss, Colonel Vance, down over to Fort Quallet area. And I'm kind of moved through this opening somewhat quick to get to the weekly part. And I say that in a sense that this is all getting ready to be laid out and getting ready to play, but I kind of want to give y'all an overview, since we've been talking about it and some of the forums on Reddit and also in other forums. So real quick, you land, and we're going to talk more about this, but the civilian trust level is extremely important. That's out of the tracks that you're looking at in the campaign level. It's trust, insurgent activity, and command. Trust is how you work with the local civilians. 10 being good, 4 is obviously on the bad side. Insurgent activity, 10 being bad, 1 being good. So again, they're leaning towards a heavily insurgent area, and command's right in the middle as you arrive. And this will be the key part that the carriers will need to build, is local force capability. Currently 1, which is essentially the lowest it can be. You want to get above 15 within 12 weeks, and that's going to be the challenge. So initial force development. Normally, after this first turn, the player's command level would dictate how much command points they have, and they can use those for SERP funds, operational missions, or force development. So again, very low right now to split. Say if you wanted to do a couple patrols or buy some local influence, but also grow the force, it's going to be split. It's going to be difficult for the players to manage all 3 of those easily without getting command up. So your roll, like for example, this roll right now is 5. You get 4 force development points. We'll talk about those in a minute, but that obviously will help get that LFC up right off the bat, so players can start maybe doing some of the operational missions we'll talk about. There's a couple where there'll be factions that we'll talk about as it gets closer to release. That's already in here. There's 4 districts that you'll have to work through. Hadrian's Pass is where the majority of the initial scenarios take place. And then the old city, which is the city area or urban area, we'll have missions for. The green zone, that's where Fort Quallet sits, but also is heavily populated and relative to the other areas. NPCs will go throughout, and then we'll lay those out. And really, as we start, one thing cool about Iron Crossing is we're going to include the entire Sandbox rules. So the core book, which is a little over 300 pages right now, has about 50 pages dedicated to Sandbox rules and how to build a Sandbox, but also how to play one. And so you'll see that as took that entire section and put it in here. That will allow, if you decide to purchase the campaign set, you'll have the entire campaign Sandbox rules with you, and enough to do each one of the missions. Core's light, you won't have everything, character generation and stuff like that, but you'll be able to run a scenario. The kind of couple pages talk about why we use a certain metrics that we have. Perhaps that's a later point we can talk about. I'd love to. I had initially 5 areas, including intelligence and some other things to track during the table, but became too much, I think, for the table. So real quick, we're just going to stop right here, page 35, and that talks about the sandbox turn in 1 week. So how you're going to run these missions. As your players land, they make it up to Fort Quallet, and right off the bat, they're going to decide, call that a Monday. And they're going to, the first trats are laid out for them, so they don't have to work about the first one. But then they, what needs to happen. They don't have to work about neglect. We'll talk about that anyhow, though, as we row through the turn. And then we'll quickly look at some logistics. It was not looking good right now, so we'll roll for that in a second. And your supply level rationing, and then desperate measures, which is a critical way where if you need to get one of your 3 tracks up, whether it's insurgent activity, command, or local trust, there's some measures you can take to change those. And obviously there's some, it takes away from one element to do the other. So as you go through that, that's the first phase, Monday morning, if you will. Tuesday's intel, so you bring in, you'll roll in the fog of war, say what new event happened that week. Then you'll start your resource allocation for the strategy part, and that's where I talked about the command points. You'll have 5 starting with that, but you also got the 4 more force development points. So that 5 will allow you to use some SERP payments and also upgrade your fob. So right now, as you move up there, the base is pretty dilapidated, and the force development points will obviously allow you to upgrade the fob itself, but also expand the force. Maybe get a squad or 2 of locals to help start training piece of that. And then update your order of battle with some trackers that help you with that. And then we talk about missions. So phase 3, we'll roll right into missions. In each district, you can come up with what you want to do. So you can patrol, have a raid or intelligence missions, advisory, also 1 command point each for each one of these you want to do. So again, your allocation of points and command is extremely important. As that goes down, the less actions you can take. So it's kind of playing off each other a little bit. As and this is the part that the players can role play. So like when we talk about ambush at dawn, or the free scenario that I think many of you all played, Shepherd's Transit, that's where you're doing that patrol, if you will, a tactical one. That's the patrol that they're doing for that operation. It would normally cost 1 command point to go do that. And then, so that is the role-playing piece of this, where you can actually roll a mission. And that's where I'm saying, if a lot of y'all are out there use miniatures, if you want to connect each one of your missions from week to week, this is a great means to do it. I think, at least, is something I like to use to show how you're changing the environment, if you will. Even if you don't want to do the advisory piece, but you can still use the rest of these rules, I suggest. So roll out of the mission, your refit, your chance to heal, some tables for that, vehicle repairs, if you're able. And then at the end, updated operational pressure from command. Obviously there can be, especially if any of your civilians and stuff are injured, maybe in some of your missions. New rules of engagement, determine if the media showed up, whether it be done good or bad. There's a rule for that, where the media could show up and obviously put a hamper in some of your activities. And then there's a kinetic operations, where if you can use airstrikes and so forth, opening up a window, working with higher headquarters, or they could be placing restrictions on you. And then relief in place conditions. At any point, if your command falls below 1, you get fired, if you will, and replaced. Otherwise, it's the 12-week clock, and you'll go through each one of these, this scenario for 12 sessions or 12 patrols, if you will, 12 missions, and then it'll be the end of the scenario and see where you're at. Again, this is meant to be a very quick overview. I look forward to doing a couple more of these to kind of show how each one goes. And these rules in here will go a lot more in detail as we go through each one of these to explain how that would work. And then as we go all the way to the back, we'll have deeper explanations for not just for the trackers, the cards we'll have built for y'all to play, but also different interactions and how to improve the regional tracker, not just the districts. Say you get a couple of districts secure, but the region is not. It's a way to do that. And then a lot more detail than we released in Shepherd's Transit about local trust. What does each one of these mean? How do they interact? And actually, we did have one question I wanted to briefly hit on was desperate measures, since we got it right now. What is that? Because it's obviously sounds something like somebody might want to mention. So here's the 4 desperate measures. Essentially, the first one, if your trust is low, you can buy trust that moves it from 0 to 2 up to 5, but it costs you 2 command points. You lose 1 FC. And then obviously there's the local narrative is that you're making a public apology. For Intel, this is the command. I'm sorry. Instead of this is actually an older one, but to improve your command, the eye in the sky, if you will, it changes that out and it moves your command up for one mission, and we'll talk about that more. Again, just a way to get after that. I hope this finds y'all interested in how we do command tracks and how we do the command missions and the 3 tracks. Let me know if you have any more questions. I look forward to answering them and doing some more short videos like this. Take care, and look forward to hearing your stories as you build your campaigns. That's all here.